I'm Michael with Hissy Cat Studio. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into the maneuver system of our air combat game, show you how it works, and kind of the design thoughts behind it. Let's get into this. Hi, today we're going to get into the maneuvers system, which is the core of our air combat game, and pretty much what you use specifically when you're playing the game in general, but two-player game. But first off, I'm going to go over some of the basic card types, and then I'll get into how the mechanics work and kind of some of the design philosophy behind it. Okay, so this is a basic card layout. We have a name of the card. We have an attack maneuver, defense maneuver, some ability that may be able to be played. We have a burst value in the black square. And for solo play, this indicates if there's if we flip over another burst for value, burst card for damage, and same thing with anti-aircraft. So these are part of the solo game. So it's a basic card. We have a number of different cards that will increase your damage. We have some damage mitigation cards, and then we have some advanced maneuver cards, like this one here. Okay, it's an overdive. It's an advanced dive maneuver. It says can only be matched by another overdive. Now, this is a unique card in the deck in the sense that most of the other advanced maneuvers can match similar type of advanced maneuvers. So if you do an advanced banking, pretty much all the advanced banking will match it. The overdrive is pulled out, and the reason I did that is if you read here, it says flip over the top card of your deck. If its burst value is 2 or less, you take your aircraft takes 1 damage. So if you're going to do an overdrive and damage your aircraft, then if somebody's trying to follow you, they're going to have to go into an overdrive as well. That was the reason behind that. So it's a bit unique in that sense. Okay, and with all the advanced maneuvers, if it's not matched, you're now the attacker, and you get to fire burst damage. Okay, and we'll get into that in just a second. This is kind of a unique card in that it's used during the choosing who has the advantage or determining who has the advantage. If this comes up as you flip it, it's got a value of 4, which means you're most likely going to win, but you also get to produce a burst damage. If you have it in your hand and you flip over for the advantage, and I'll give you an example of that, you can then also play it. Well, why don't I just do that right now? Let's see, you have 4 cards in your hand. And when you're trying to determine an advantage, both players flip over the top card of their deck and compare the burst damage. Okay, 1 and 1. So that just means that nobody's gained the advantage, and we flip again. But in my hand, I have passing shot. That doesn't have a burst value, but I play that. Then I flip over a card, and I produce 2 burst damages. The aircrafts are passing each other. And then we go on to another advantage phase, 1 and 3, and red deck now has the advantage. So once one of the advantages has been determined, depending on, in the solo play, the hand size for the AI, you don't draw any cards for that. We just flip off the top of the deck, and it does come into play, and I'll show you that in a second. But as the player, let's say I'm a veteran and my hand size is 4. So I'm going to have 4 cards in my hand. And at this point, red has the advantage, okay? So I have a number of different cards that I can play. I have no advanced banking maneuvers. And so what you do is you play something, and I'm actually going to play this flying by the seat of your pants, which allows me to draw 2 additional cards in my hand. Okay? But it's a bank left and climb. I'm on the defense, so I'm going to bank left and climb. In the original version of the game, you only had to match one. You chose one of these 2. You could bank left or climb. Now it's a bank left and climb. That is my maneuver. If I'm going against a veteran AI, they're going to get 4 cards, just like would be in their hand size. And I'm going to just flip them over off the deck and see if I can match both the bank left and the climb. So the first one is a dive. I'm looking at the attack. That doesn't match. Second one is in a dive. It's an advanced dive, but it still doesn't help. 2 more cards. another dive. So they're not going to be able to match me now. Well, there is one card that would allow it. And a climb. So they have a climb, they match the climb, not the bank left. So that means they still have the advantage, but they don't get an opportunity to to fire off a burst. And play continues. Now at this point, I've already gotten rid of one card. I can discard, but at least I gotta have 4 cards in my hand, and I pulled an advanced dive, and it is the overdive. So perfect. I'm gonna go ahead defensively and play an overdive. First thing I'm gonna do is check to see if I've taken any damage. A 1. I will have taken 1 airframe damage. And so I would have had 8 to start with. We're now down to 7. And they're at 8. Okay, so now the only thing that can match me is an overdive. So we'll just make sure that's on the top so we can see it. First card, nope, it's not an overdive. Second one, nope, not an overdive. Third one, nope. And fourth opportunity, no. So they do not match me. I've taken 1 airframe of damage. And this says, if not matched, you are now the attacker, fire 1 burst. So I now have gained the advantage. I fire a burst for 1. And then I look in my hand to see if I have anything that I can add to this. I have 2 lucky shots and a long burst. Now, I didn't put the text on here, but you're only going to be able to play 1 of these per damage resolution. I did add it to here. I can play both of these. So let me explain. So this says, play from hand to increase any damage by 2. So I did 1. I'm going to now add 2, which makes it a 3 for a lucky shot. And now I'm going to take a long burst. It says play from hand to increase any damage by 2. May only be played once per resolution. And here's how we handle jam guns. Further, flip over the top card of your deck. If its burst value is 1, your guns jam, and damage cannot be increased further. Now, the reason I played this second is so that if I do jam my guns, I can no longer add any other cards to the burst. The burst guns for the next damage phase are considered unjammed. I wanted to have some flavor of getting your guns jammed, and so it stops you from really piling on the damage if you've got a good hand and your guns jam on you. But I didn't want to have the bookkeeping, and unjamming the guns in the original version was crippling, to say the least, and unfun. And we don't want to design unfun games, or try not to. So I played Lucky Shot. So I did 1, add 2. I'm going to add another 2, so now I'm up to 5. Even though you can't play this card, if I could, I would flip over, I get a 2, so my guns don't jam, which means then I could further play this card. But again, because it's a lucky shot, I'm debating on whether I want to allow this to be played twice or not. So we did a total of 5 damage. 7 would have almost shut him down. But we're not going to play that. They took 5, so they're now down to 3. I now have the advantage. I'm going to draw back up to 4 cards in my hand. Oh, and I got the wild card for You Can't Shake Me, which is awesome. And there's a guns jam. So if I'm flipping this over for burst damage, it just tells me my guns jam and this damage can't be increased. So that basically means I don't get any shot that turn. And there's 2 of these in the deck. I've got 1 in my hand, which is going to save me at least. So place those there. Now the defender with the AI, we just flip over the top card and read what it says. If it's an advanced maneuver, we do the advanced maneuver. If not, we do the defensive maneuver, which is bank left and climb. Again, in the original one, you had to choose one or the other. And as I was going through this, trying to make it solo, trying to figure out how do I determine if it's bank left or climb, I came up with the idea of why don't I just make it bank left and climb, and then change the maneuver system to where it's not matching 1, but you have a double maneuver that needs to be matched. And it actually, I think, makes the game better. So in this case, it's a bank left and climb. Those are two what we call basic maneuvers. Can't shake me, there's two in the deck. It says play from hand, matches both basic maneuvers. So I've now matched. I'm gonna flip over burst damage, which I did 1, and it's not a guns jam. Well, it would have been 0. And now I can add lucky shot, which adds 2 for a total of 3. And what I forgot to do on when they shot the 5 was to do damage mitigation for them. So let's see. Leading the target, no, that does not do damage mitigation. So they take the 3. That's all they had. Boom, and shoot them down. So that is the maneuver system and kind of how it works. Well, that's how it works today. So as we go through some playtest sessions, and you get to see some follow-alongs or playthroughs as I'm working on the various pieces of the campaign. And at one point, I'll do a full playthrough once I get everything designed. At least now you'll have a basic understanding of how the maneuvers work. And again, this is subject to change, although this has been pretty consistent for the most part for quite a while now. So let's do one more battle really quick. I'll move through this. We start with 8 airframe. We'll play that as if we were a veteran. I'm going to draw 4 cards into my hand. No passing shot. Okay. So now we flip over. I got a 2. Oh, they got a 3. So red deck has gained the advantage. I have an advanced climb, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to do an advanced climb. Now, they get 4 cards. Advanced climb to match. Passing shot doesn't match. That's advanced banking, okay? That does not match. Can't shake me. Now, let's play from hand when you match both basic maneuvers. This is an advanced maneuver, therefore this doesn't work. And it's last chance for an advanced climb. Flying by the seat of his pants. Now, when played from his hand or deck, gains 2 cards. So in this case, it doesn't match, but he gets 2 more cards. Better looking than good? Nope. That's a damage mitigation card. And advanced banking? No. Missed the vitals, another damage mitigation card. So I've now gained the advantage, and I get to produce 1 burst. And we do 1. And so the long burst and all of this doesn't matter. All we're looking for on this card is that, and not even that. That's all we're looking for. This over here, that's the card number, and that's the version. And this is all in an Access database that I used to print. I'm going to create a video talking about how I keep my data for my cards and produce these cards. Now, looking for any increase in my damage. Now, I only have 3 cards. The reason being is this whole set of maneuvers hasn't resolved yet, so I don't draw a card into my hand as soon as I play a card. I do that to minimize what you have in your hand here. Now, that might change to where when you play a card, you draw a card. But for simplicity's sakes, that was a maneuver. That was a damage based off the maneuver, so I still haven't drawn. I'm going to play Lucky Shot, which then increases it by 2, so I've now done 3. These don't do anything. Now we check his mitigation. It's close range burst, so there's no mitigation. He takes 3, he's down to 5. Now I draw 2 cards into my hand, or to my hand size, which happens to be 4. I have an advanced banking maneuver, which is a defensive maneuver. I have shot through the heart, so if I do 4 more damage on 1 shot, I can literally kill the pilot with playing this. I have another Can't Shake Me, that's positive, and I have a Leading the Target again. Okay, that's a good hand. So let's see what they do. They don't have an advance maneuver, so they're gonna bank right and dive. Can't Shake Me, I can match that. We're gonna definitely do Leading the Target. Now keep in mind, we could end this here. Well, if I do 4. He's only at 5, but still, it'd be nice to shoot him through the heart, right? Let's look at our damage. We did 2. Look at this. Play from hand, increase damage by 1. We did 3. So this doesn't trigger. It doesn't trigger also when we check his damage mitigation, which is leading a target, which is not damage mitigation. So he took 3, so he's now down to 2. Okay, same thing, draw back up to my hands, draw it to my hand size. Now in campaign mode, when they're at 2, a recruit is going to try to disengage if they can gain the advantage. A veteran does it at 1, an ace never disengages. Okay, so in this case it doesn't matter, he's still got 1, so he goes with his maneuver. Now he does an advanced dive maneuver, it is an overdive. Okay, and he does take 1 point of damage, which is interesting because he does an overdive, takes 1 point of damage, which now puts him on 1, which means if he gains the advantage, he's going to just disengage. So I look to see if I have an overdive. We do not, which means he gains the advantage and flies away. So he doesn't take a burst damage on me, and that ends the combat. So I don't get to kill in this particular case. So there you go. That's the maneuver system in a nutshell. And again, now you'll have an understanding when you see some of our place test videos, kind of what's going on. And obviously the more of them that you watch, the more you'll kind of get the grasp of this. And as the game gets further designed, obviously I'll write a rule book, describe all that, and do a how-to video once the game is in, it's ready to be published. Anyway, thanks for your time, guys. Thanks for paying attention to what we're doing here on the channel, and look forward to seeing you again. Talk to you later. Bye.